down to the baseline.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow. Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow.
Hello everybody, I am Nico Nelm Del Valle, and I am here tonight with Stort Sin McLeod to bring you the 2017 League of Legends Master Series. How are you doing, Sin?
I'm doing pretty good. Amazed I actually woke up in time for this, but we're going to be going through the LMS action today with Wai Spider versus Machi. Machi definitely looking to come back from a very poor start. Wai looking to continue a bit of a run of form they've been going on since those couple losses they suffered early.
Yeah, and Wai really looked like they had picked it up last week. They were playing against the incomplete Flash Wolves and in Fireball, but they managed to 2-0 both of those teams. And yeah, even with like the worst roster of Flash Wolves, like Wai Spider didn't win a single match last split. So seeing them pick up games, it does look like they've improved at least a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Wai 2-0ing the Flash Wolves, as you say, it is a bit down to Casa very much underperforming. But credit to Wai Spider. I mean, that's a roster with Maple. That's a roster with, as we say, Casa and, of course, Sword Art as well. The three-man units, most of the roster's still there. And they still managed to get that clean 2-0 without really much trouble being given to them at all. That might speak to the fact that they're looking to try and do the same over March 17 this week.
It very well might. As we get into picks and bans, we're going to be on 7.11 this week, so upgraded a little bit from the last patch. I think this is probably one of the first competitive games being played on this one. Or wait, I forgot the Western.
The CLS.
The Western Regions got it last week. I forgot about that one. But,
and of course, the CLS was playing earlier this evening on it.
Yep. So Zaya and Galio and Ivern taken off the table. Definitely good to see that that Galio getting taken off the table. I think it's crowding out a lot of picks right now. I was surprised not to see any nerfs for it in 7-11.
Yeah, it just really speaks to mid lane style where you can put a really bad mid laner on Galio and then they're just fine. They're just completely fine and they will never lose lane. They will never suffer any sort of threat whatsoever because they're Galio.
Yeah, incredibly tanky and even has a little bit of kill pressure as well, though. I thought it was, I don't know if you noticed it, but Amachi had like a little like fluffy thing, or the stuffed animal.
Yeah, the little model of the logo. I thought that was rather sweet.
That's pretty neat. I like that. I like it. But I'm not gonna get me to cheer for him though. I'm an unbiased castor today.
I mean, I don't know about you, but Machi 17 with the mascot coming in looking for the win. My boy's Machi now.
Indeed, our boys Machi. But let's see what they decide to pick up as the bans have been completed, and Zach has been left completely open.
Free win.
Free win. Did they nerf Zach on this patch?
They nerfed a small amount of damage from his Q, so his clear's a little bit slower, but really, damage isn't the thing that Zach is most known for. It's his CC combinations. His ability to just really slam people together, knock people up, and then not play child support afterwards.
Yeah, I really think that they maybe overloaded his kit a bit with the rework by adding in the ability to slam targets into each other. That one just seems like overkill considering just how much better his ultimate is with the enhancements to the Let's Bounce.
I actually prefer his old ultimate, but his new ultimate does have some interesting utility from it, with the ability to knock people over walls much more effectively and just predictably knock people into your team. Rather than just try and disrupt people as much as possible, as he used to be known for. It's actually more of a deliverance ability.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just think it's a little bit busted
But the Thresh
as it is
pick,
right now.
I want to actually touch on very quickly. The Thresh pick. This is something that I have been criticizing every single region for not doing. Locking Thresh into Zac. The Flay completely cancels the E from Zac, knocks him straight out the air. Very similar to a Tristana jump. So that completely negates a lot of what 3Z is going to be looking to do in late team fights. Just keeping him off of the back lane, forcing him to actually get shut down and have to try and slam the front line together, which, as we know, isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, I have to agree. Flay definitely a very powerful ability against Zac. Another thing that's really good about it too is that it's just like a very easily accessible piece of crowd control that you can use to disrupt his elastic slingshot before he even casts it. It's not just canceling it in the air. It's a very quick, very easy piece of crowd control to just stop him from even casting off the elastic slingshot in the first place. But anyways, we got a couple more picks coming through. Syndra picked up on the other side, and now Wai Spider have decided to pick up LeBlanc as a counter. Interesting one. How do you think this matchup plays out? Do you think it favors LeBlanc very heavily?
I think LeBlanc, if she plays it correctly, should be favored here, but Syndra does still have the kill potential as she does in almost every lane. But I want to touch on the fact that YE Spider have left their ADC open, so you could potentially ban something like the Ashe here, ban the Caitlyn, so that really there's no matchups left for YE Spider to pick into, and they have to pick something like the Lucian, instead choosing to focus at the top lane pool. But I feel like this could be considered a mistake.
It very well might be, though interesting to still see Lulu getting banned. Its priority seems to have dropped a bit in the last few patches, although it didn't really seem to me like it even received that much of a nerf.
It was really just the Doran's shield changes that slowly pushed her out, because really her harassment didn't mean anything anymore, and playmaking supports have risen so much since then, to the point where we're really seeing these picks like Thresh, picks like Braum, just survive the bot lane, not have to care, because the ADCs just survive in health. The supports have obviously got the Relic Shield to survive in health, and they just get the all-in potential so much better than the opposing lane.
Yeah, I do really like the way Doran's Shield has affected the bottom lane so far, and that it's definitely brought more tanky, aggressive supports back into the meta, because they don't need to worry so much about their AD carries being under so much pressure, taking so much damage that they won't be able to really defend them, and then they won't be able to take advantage of their playmaking potential because their AD carries are so low because of their lack of ability to protect them. So yeah, I definitely like how Doran's Shield has affected the bottom lane.
But you seem to be breezing over it, if you will, as Breeze locks in that Callista for himself. Pick we've been seeing rise ever so slightly across the regions, with the slow changes over time. So both Fervor of Battle and, of course, the Blade of the Rune King has slowly put her back in priority in the meta. And the Thresh and Callista lane, something where we can really see her shine. But on the other side, the Fiora lock-in, blind, very risky as... To be honest, we could see something even as crazy as the Pantheon Ignite locked into it, which is a strictly counter matchup, or just something as simple as the Renekton to try and punish it in lane and really scale into those team fights.
Yeah, I expect YE Spider to maybe pick up something a little bit more tanky here, or that also.
Oh, I disagree with that.
Was something we see. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I was expecting to see something more tanky just because they didn't have a lot of much of an HP tank on the rest of their composition, and considering Machi is rolling with 2, that would basically guarantee they would lose late game, I think, if they picked the Jarvan.
Yeah, that would definitely guarantee it, as Fiora even in the mid game completely destroys Jarvan. But this lock-in for Gragas, this is something that I was actually going to refer to, at this fact that if you let Zac go through, your first 2 lock-ins, unless there's something really high priority that you think you need, and for them it was Thresh, should be Gragas and Thresh, because Gragas obviously has the knockback, the disengage to try and keep Zac off of your backline, and of course do a lot of damage to him, and be able to create some engage for yourself. It's just an all-around versatile tool that helps deal with the Zac. And then of course the Thresh, like we were talking about the Flay before. So I actually think YE Spider have a very decent composition into a Zac, and they can survive this game, as long as the mid lane and the bot lane don't get very heavily harassed by him in the early few levels. They should win these late game team fights.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I really like about the Thresh and Callista lane in particular is that, like later on into the game, once Callista gains access to her ultimate, you can, I think Thresh and Callista specifically work incredibly well together because one, because in lane, like before 6, you have a lot of ability to just like poke because of Thresh's good range and because of his Flay, and that enables him to really easily proc off Callista's W passive. To do a lot of poke damage in the lane. But another one too is that I like how the ultimate interaction works, where Thresh can like maybe throw himself over a wall with the ultimate and then just lantern that Callista, lantern that Callista in. It's really good for moving around the map.
This is generally a bot lane that I have seen in the past. If you are at least moderately skilled on the matchup with Thresh and Callista as your support and AD carry, it just makes potentially risky bot lanes so much safer. As if the Thresh is mispositioned, you have the ultimate. If the Callista's mispositioned, you have the Lantern. Together, they just end up creating a lane that pretty much always becomes a stalemate, unless they try and all-in the opponent.
Plus, so, if both of them are out of position, then you could just use the ultimate to throw Thresh back and then grab the Lantern.
Exactly. It's just a permanently safe lane. And that's the thing that really speaks to me about it being so strong. And of course, with the ability for on Callista's W for Thresh to do extra damage on hit, it also helps with the Relic Shield. It helps with Thresh trying to do harassment damage onto the opponents. Everything just makes them synergize so well together. And that's why these picks have generally been the number one. The Thresh has been the number one pick to go with the Callista. And they have so many picks to go together, like Blood Moon Thresh, Blood Moon Callista, Championship Thresh, Championship Callista. We have just to hope that YE Spider have gone for the synergy here.
Yeah, the ultimate combo. They have to strike fear into the hearts of their opponents, and I definitely think they have that one down in spades. Lots of burst coming out from the jungle and mid positions that we haven't even talked about. Like LeBlanc, maybe a little bit less burst than she used to have, but still plenty with the combo, and of course just Kha'Zix being able to just strike fear into the hearts of everybody with his nice isolation damage, which would be good in the early game. And speaking of that, how do you think this jungle matchup really plays out? Can you really invade Zac successfully?
Yes, his clearer is fairly weak early on, so if you manage to catch him out in a situation where he hasn't been able to clear all of his camps properly, you just go in and invade, get a nice camp off for yourself, get a small lead for yourself, and then start to scale into the game. It works especially well with picks like Graves and Nunu, just because you can farm so quickly and so effectively that you try and deny Zac as much experience and gold early on, so he can't impact your lanes, so he can't get the snowball rolling whatsoever into that mid to late game team fighting stage where Zac really wants to be. And I can see Kha'Zix working potentially, but if it starts to go bad, it can go absolutely horribly wrong, and it's a slippery slope against the Zac.
Yeah, it definitely is, and of course we got the top lane matchup to talk about as well. You're gonna have that Gragas into the Fiora.
Yeah,
it should be a pretty interesting one. How do you think that matchup really plays out? I'm guessing the riposte will have a lot of impact on whether this matchup goes one way or the other.
Well, this is still 7.11, so Gragas will be looking to go for the triple Dorans and just wave clear as effectively as possible. Potentially go for the Brahmi's Cinder on top of into the sort of Spirit Visage, where he's going to be healing up quite a lot. Just trying to survive the lane as best as he can, because Fiora inherently outscales Gragas in this lane. She can try and riposte to stop any Gragas engage whatsoever, but Gragas isn't really going to be looking to go aggressive. He just needs to survive and become this big team fight menace that we know he can be, so that the Fiora doesn't really matter until the late game. And by that point, if Gragas has played it effectively, if his team has played it effectively, it won't matter that the Fiora's fed, because the rest of the team will already be so far ahead that they can destroy her just by looking at her.
Yeah, though an interesting thing about the Fiora is maybe how much Rift Herald potential we have going on here in the early game. I think with champions like Fiora in the top lane, you have a lot more ability as a team.
Come on, Fiora!
To look around for the Rift Herald. Yes! No one will ever no one will ever get me to say that differently.
She's French. Her name's Fiora.
Yes, that's obviously how we should all be pronouncing it.
Fiora. Her name's Fiora. Fiora.
You're not going to get me to say it like that. I
Filthy
refuse.
American swine.
I refuse. I will rebel against this notion that I must...
the bourgeoisie are trying to get you to pronounce it as Fiora.
I will not conform.
You will not be persuaded.
I will not conform to Le Baguette.
Fiora.
Yes, Fiora.
Wow, okay,
Anyways, getting back to the point I was trying to make, having a champion like Fiora in the top lane gives you a lot more ability to look for that Rift Herald a lot earlier in the game. It's quite easy to solo, but it's a lot better when you have two champions that are pretty good at taking it away.
But it shouldn't be forgotten that Fiora does have a rough early game, and that she has really come back into prevalence because of the Doran Shield. So Gragas in the early few levels should really be able to pressure out the Fiora, have better wave clear than the Fiora. Once she gets the Tiamat, once she gets towards level 6, that's where Gragas really needs to play much safer. The way you counter a Fiora mostly is to camp the top lane, and if they aren't looking to do that, if they're looking to play around this bot lane instead, if they're looking to try and avoid them getting collapsed on by this Varus, they need to try and at least have Gragas play safe so there's not going to be this big force in the top lane pushing him down.
Yeah, and how do you think the junglers will interact with this matchup? I think Fiora is a lot more sensitive to being ganked, but
yeah,
I think
completely
Machi
agree.
has a bit more like CC coming out of their jungle.
Like I was referring to, I feel like Fiora can be camped early and then completely shut down. She doesn't have much of an escape other than her riposte, and it only really blocks one CC ability, or multiple if you use it perfectly, but really the enemy team should be playing around it. Whereas on the other side, if Zac can come in and set up a good gank and get Fiora rolling, that's even more scary, as Fiora with a couple kills early on can devastate the opposing team and just shred through any members they got left, become this big split push threat that we know and fear, as it were. And,
yeah,
that's really what they're going to be looking to do. But will it be Fedora or Fedora as we get into the game?
It might be either one as we look to roll on to Summoner's Rift, as we are going to see Machi 17 versus, of course, YE Spider after that quite long intermission. But yeah, on the blue side, we're going to have Machi 17 with 3s in the top lane, Taizan in the jungle, Apex and the middle lane, D at AD carry, and Dreamer on support.
And on the other side, we're going to see Nexus, Epic, Wako Breeze, and K on the side of YE Spider, looking to try and continue that run of form that we alluded to earlier, as Dreamer gets spotted on a ward, just trying to walk into the enemy red buff.
Yeah.
All wards down. Yeah.
Looks like he needs to dream of some better things.
Let's try and avoid that, and I'm just going to pretend you didn't say anything.
What?
That was an awful one. Just please no.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll be an epic game.
I just felt like disconnecting at that very moment.
Hopefully we'll get a bunch of Taizan swinging through the jungle. Are you Kason?
Okay, I have returned. I decided that just because Novum's being a complete idiot doesn't mean I should punish anybody else for his transgressions.
Punish, huh?
Come on, please don't push me. Please don't push me.
Well, we don't have anything else to do except for me to make terrible puns because we got another pause coming out.
Hey. That's my masterful levels of puns.
Yeah, puns are the only things that can save us in this dark time.
In a world where only puns can save us,
from
one man is called upon. But there are only 3 Davian Freak Tullies and 7 quadrants.
What are we to do?
Yeah.
Anyways, it looks like Machi 17's jungler is having a little bit of a technical problem. Not sure if that had something to do with what was happening before, but the ref was in the Machi booth before, so that is actually seeming pretty likely. Also, I'm pretty sure that thing at the top left of the screen says Machi 17 has the pause.
Yep, they have paused. I just assume it says technical difficulties or something along those lines.
Well, I don't know.
So, what do you think of the new SKT skins?
Yes, they're looking pretty good. But I'm hoping that by the end of the next season, we're going to have Ray's Gaming skins.
The fanboy. It's all about the Delta Fox skins.
Yes, so we need
I need the Skara Gragas.
Delta Fox will win Worlds, guaranteed, obviously.
Guaranteed, exactly. They will win it as Echo Fox when Echo Fox sub in all 5 members, but still.
Going back to the LMS, though, I really love how a lot of these teams just have, like, stuffed things sitting on their desks while they're playing. It's not just Machi 17. I actually just spotted, like, a little, like, stuffed plushie on the side of YE. Unfortunately, they've already lost the plushie game. They do something similar in the LCK, where they'll actually have a drawing of each player in front of their computers, right at the front of the booth, and it's normally something a fan's done for them, so it's a nice little touch, and I like it when they do things like that. It just creates another element of personalism. It's best when Rock's Tigers dresses in bunny outfits, obviously.
I think my favorite one is when, I believe it was back when they were Coup, Rock's Tigers turn up on stage doing the Ginyu Force poses, rising up from the floor. It was absolutely brilliant.
That should be a plan for our next live finals here at Compete League. We should just get the Ginyu Force live on stream.
Exactly, sir. Looks like we are going to get back into game quite happily, as Epic's just going to be starting on these.
Yeah,
Raptors getting at level 1.
Those pauses before the game starts and you basically already talked all about the comps that you can are the worst pauses.
Yeah, it's something that's especially bad with subcasters because they refuse to talk about anything but the game. So you have to exhaust all of your knowledge of the two compositions without having any foundation at all.
Yes, that's obvious. Wow. What? How did he do that?
That's really interesting. Okay. Just trying to maximize his Q damage, I assume, and get a little bit of extra CC.
He threw his Q over the wall and then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a clearing technique you could use, but apparently it is.
That's an interesting one that I've not seen before. Is
Wako! Wako is the low wave flash. Dark Sphere comes out from Apex to finish the kill. First blood over to Machi 17.
Apex Predator getting that kill for himself early on in this game. Already got that first blood. He's up 5 CS, forcing the teleport of Wako as well. Still having the cleanse of and he lands the stun.
Oh man, Wako.
This is awful for Wako.
Taking so much punishment right out of the lane phase. Definitely want to see some pressure maybe coming out from Epic to try and equalize this, as Wako has now been set pretty far behind.
Yeah, this is an awful situation for Wako. Now Apex can back, get a nice first buy for himself, already at level 3, already up 2 waves. He's going to be quite happy. Probably picking up... Oh, he's just going to go for another Doran's ring on top of those boots. Give himself another early item spike.
Yeah, Apex definitely seems to be looking up, and no more walling off his 80 carries, hopefully, this series.
Yeah, that was rather hilarious. I mean, fully inting the game.
I guess he is an Apex Predator. He even goes after his own teammates. But Wako has found Taizan here in the jungle, looks to lock him up as Epic is on the way through, roots him up, but the elastic slingshot has already gone off, so Epic won't be able to catch up in time.
Just all that does is secure this, going the Scuttle Crab, of course, going over to Epic, and giving his team control of the river. Going to be very useful. But with Taizan off the map, it means that the bot lane can play aggressive as well. So seeing finally Kalista and Thresh start pushing this lane really hard into the enemy tower. And this is what I really want to be seeing Kalista doing, just trying to harass D as much as possible. So really, it could be a strong control matchup early.
It definitely can be. They seem to be doing pretty well for themselves as well, but they are pushed up with no wards, and Taizan is waiting in the wings, maybe looking for a gank on that bottom lane.
Yeah, he could end up, of course, as you say, trying to gank that bottom lane, but they know that Taizan just did have to back. They know he's still level 3, so potentially looking to just play fairly safe right now. Hover around the edge of vision, and Wako again!
Wako is down!
Just getting eaten alive by this Syndra pick.
Yeah, and like, I definitely expect to see Syndra coming out into the lane with a lot of pressure, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is beyond what we expect from a Syndra. And it really means that Wako has to be building something along the lines of the Negatron Cloak as quickly as possible. Or expect to see more of the same as he gets closer and closer to this level 6 mark. Wako's still level 4.
Yes, he is, and that should mean Apex is going to hit level 6 pretty soon, and Epic's actually just been spotted by Taizan in the jungle. He's sitting on the side of the lane here looking for a gank, but now Apex knows what to expect. Apex does have no summoners, so this game could go either way, though Epic is a little bit lower on resources than Taizan is.
And Taizan's probably just going to try and wait for the wave to come up, wait for the Syndra to come back, and try and find Epic in this brush. There he is.
Epic, did you not see the ward? And he is going to go down. Apex 3-0 before even the 6-minute mark. Hey, luckily in the area to protect him from the counterattack by Machi 17, as we are going to see a replay.
Yeah, the replay is coming through. We're finally seeing what happened to Wako on the previous engage. And, it's just in the end, he gets caught out by another E, isn't dodging a single one. the cleanse coming through, of course, to make sure he doesn't get rooted up anymore by that chain, picking up another kill. But all of these plays, we talked about how Machi have been a little bit disappointing as of late, and why he have been playing much better. This is what we expected to see from Machi at the start of the season. But all these plays being made around Apex is going to make this Syndra especially scary. And Apex playing far and beyond what we expected coming into this game.
Yeah, Breeze is going to have to be incredibly worried in these team fights when we get later on into the game. He always has to be worried about that unleashed power now because Apex is riding on so much gold that thing can definitely one-shot your AD carry pretty quickly at this stage.
And that's the unfortunate thing for Wako. He could have just costed Breeze any sort of advantage that Breeze would have in this bottom lane. Being able to pressure out D constantly, being able to get a CS advantage on D over time, it's just going to become more and more lackluster as Syndra can just point and click with her R, blow her up, and there's nothing she can do.
Yeah, definitely not much he can do in that situation. And now taking out Apex has suddenly become a primary objective for YE. They're going to need to take that out in order to get any pressure in these team fights, no matter how far ahead Breeze gets at this point. A lot of nice vision coming out from Epic as he looks to maybe gank the top lane, but Threes is hanging out by his tower, so even with K's help, that could be a little bit tough.
It's Taiwan just trying to take away this blue buff for his team, but Nexus, he has a lot of wave clear as this Gragas. He's just probably going to try and dissuade this tower dive as much as he can, uses the ult.
Ooh, a nice flash from Nexus means that he is not going to be caught out under the tower. I really liked his ultimate there too, clearing out the minions, making sure they took tower aggro as he escaped.
Just trying to make sure that his team can get this first tower before the side of Machi 17. And it looks like it's been pretty much secured, and this first tower will go solo onto Breeze, really putting all the eggs in the Breeze basket, trying to get the item spikes onto him, but unfortunately, as we said, it might not mean much if Apex can just point and click.
Yep, but yeah, I gotta say, I really gotta say Nexus made a really good move there, a very subtle one. Dropping that ult, clearing out those minions, definitely kept him safe under the tower after he flashed, but it also made them take the tower aggro, and that means they had to leave the range before they came back to actually attack the tower.
It secured that first tower for his team, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, the tempo was definitely in their favor because he did that. But at the same time, just the amount of gold that goes into Breeze's pocket, I feel like that's just such a big talking point.
Yeah, definitely is. He's going to have quite a bit of gold when he gets back. That was, of course, a 650 gold spike for him because he got the first break combined just with the solo gold up from the tower. That's really good for 80 carries, although I still got to say, no matter how much gold he gets at this point, I still got to be worried about him just getting exploded in every team fight by Apex. So
completely agree.
So it's really reliant on how YE Spider can play around how much power Apex is riding on after getting these early 3 kills. Nexus actually getting a bit of a 1v1 with Threes in the bottom lane. The Grand Challenge has not been dropped by Threes just yet, and Nexus is starting to get burned low. So he decides to evacuate the area. He has no tower, so he can't really stick around for that 1v1 for long.
With all the deep vision Threes had for himself, look at all the green wards around that blue buff of YE Spider. I felt like he could have continued to harass out Nexus. He could have potentially even gone for an all-in, just prioritizing playing it safe, going for the farm instead.
So we do have Epic hanging out in the bottom side jungle here. He's gonna spot Taizan. Dreamer is of course waiting in the wings as well. Epic is doing a good job of making sure he stays hidden for now. Looks like he doesn't want to get onto Taizan just yet. And K is going to come on over to help him rotate out of the pit. But now because he saw Taizan recalling, this is an easy Rift Herald for the side of YE Spider.
Of course, with the isolation damage bonus Kha'Zix gets, it's going to help him even more. But just trying to juggle the aggro so it doesn't do too much damage to them. And with Breeze, switch to the top lane. With that first tower gone for them in the top lane, it's just going to be an easy Rift Herald, as you say. No one even to contest this. So this could potentially get YE back into the game if they use it correctly to try and get maybe 1 or 2 towers back.
Yeah, if they can start putting gold onto the entirety of their team instead of funneling it all onto one basket, they're definitely going to have an easier time catching out Apex, taking him out, and that would just totally nullify all of Machi 17's gold lead.
That definitely could be the case if we see Wacko able to get back into the game, able to get to these points where he can assassinate people himself. Wacko has been surviving pretty well, considering he did go down that 0-2 early on. Only 11 to 12 CS down at the minute. It's going to even out fairly much to 10 at the end of this wave by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna show the fact that he has managed to hold on so effectively, building towards the Hextech Gunblade, that maybe he can still have these late game assassinations that I alluded to.
Yeah, luckily for his next pack, he's probably going to be able to pick up the Merc Treads. He's already built that, I think it's called a No Magic Mantle.
Yep,
so
that is correct.
He should be able to combine that with his boots to get the Merc Treads, and he'll have a much easier time surviving a lot of Apex's pressure. One thing I would maybe like to see is that Breeze might want to pick up the Merc Treads as well, just because how much magic damage is going to be coming out towards him in this game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be good for him to try and deny some of that magic damage on top of him. As you see, Threes unable to riposte the chains on himself. Just going to take a little chunk of damage, but another tower going on to Machi 17 now. They do seem to continually have this tempo advantage, just slightly ahead of YE, unless Nexus, of course, makes that another play where he slows down the tower again. His ult is down this time. So
Breeze does get solo tower gold here in the bottom
Breeze
lane.
again. Already having the Blade of the Runkin completed for himself, he's just going to continue to be able to scale up in this gold lead.
Yeah, definitely a lot of resources being invested into putting Breeze into a good position to win out this game. He is going to go for that Ninja Tabby. The second he gets back to base, definitely one that we would see. He's going to be getting dived in the backline a lot by Fiora this game. So, good option for him, although I'm wondering how long it'll take before the Draken starts to become an objective that both teams start looking for.
With both AD carries being fairly short range, it is a bit of a risk trying to siege up, so it's really only talking to the fact that they want to be able to get dragons and get the Baron quicker if they are looking to go for this. Dragon here, but Taizan caught out.
Yeah, Epic jumps in. Taizan should be safe, but he is going to take a nice chunk of damage over from Epic. The good thing for YE Spider in terms of objective control is that, of course, they do have that Callista, and that is going to give them some superior objective controls. We might see a fight here in the middle lane. The Death Sentence doesn't connect onto Apex, but everybody else is coming in to take him down. His cleanse has been burned. K gets thrown onto the other side as Dreamer and D join the fight, but now Breeze is in a bad position, and he has no escape. He is going to go down as the Lantern is thrown in the other direction away from him. Flay comes out from K, but it's already too late. Machi 17 won the fight, 2 kills for them, and they're going for the middle tower.
And with all the resources invested onto Breeze, it all comes up for nothing, as he ends up getting blown up in that team fight without really doing much damage at all. Nexus just trying to dissuade any more siege, and he's going to be able to actually do that with this triple Dorans. With the damage he's doing at this point in the game, actually he's still very relevant. And Nexus just trying to keep his team in it, desperately dragging them along by the hair, just trying to keep his team into the game. Come on, guys, we can win the game. But YE, unfortunately, not doing the best. Three's managing to pick up the riposte onto the hook there. That seems to be like all he can do. Just try and survive.
Looks like they might be looking to counter the middle lane turret. They have, of course, already dropped the Rift Herald, but it's going to be too late for them. Going back to that last team fight, it's strange that they invested so many resources onto Breeze, but they didn't really protect him very well, and we're going to see that one again, actually.
Yeah, K misses the hook at the start, so pretty unlucky for him, but Apex does end up blowing the cleanse. They bring Wacko straight back into him, gets hit by the ultimate. And Lantern, a little bit too late, unable to save him. It's just so many resources were invested on trying to take down Apex in that fight that they couldn't protect their AD carry in the meantime. And just meant an easy fight came in for Machi 17 as Breeze gets blown up, gets caught out by the Brom ultimate.
Yeah, I think a big problem with that, too, was that Nexus showed up so late, but definitely I think that was just really poor positioning from Breeze. He kept cutting off towards the right side of that fight, completely ignoring the potential for D and Dreamer to roam up, which of course they were going to do.
Yeah, it's just no real protection for Breeze, as you alluded to, which just means that all the resources they've put on him are all for naught. And I imagine if you look at the gold right now, D is actually pretty much even with him, as his team, as D has picked up the global gold of those first 2 towers, and of course the Mountain Dragon and the gold lead his team already has for themselves, on top of the CS advantage. Surely he's completely nullified anything Breeze could have got from getting that first tower for himself.
Yeah, definitely a pretty good lead coming out from D in the CS department. Should compensate for all of that solo gold that Breeze managed to pick up. And I think them not catching out Apex in that last team fight might just be the thing that actually just seals up this game for Machi17. Like, it could have been a really good catch, but
We're still only 16 minutes in.
Didn't play it very well. Breeze is caught out super hard right now. He's really low. He is going to be pulled out of the fight by the Dark Passage. It looks like he's going to be okay, but he is going to recall back to base. Or just stay around for a couple of creeps.
Yeah, he's going to be able to survive for now, but does nearly get blown up. We actually saw Taiwan have his elastic slingshot cancelled by Nexus, with Nexus coming in for the body slam on top of him. And that would have meant Breeze's death. Once again, just playing a little bit too far forward. But he really needs to, otherwise his team has no DPS at this point in the game. It's looking really rough for YE Spider, as maybe they have to start looking towards what they're going to do in Game 2. Potentially banning away Apex's Syndra.
Yeah, they really need to look and try and get a pick that good again. I just don't think they're going to be able to make one that good. Like, they had a really good pick opportunity on Apex there. He was standing in the middle of a lot of their teammates. They got him in a good position, but they didn't account for the fact that he would blow both of his summoners to escape. And because they didn't do that, they weren't able to play around that, and they positioned Breeze in a bad position. I also think it was really that K missed the initial death sentence, which would have put Apex in a basically guaranteed kill position.
Yeah, if he'd managed to use that onto Apex right there, Apex would have certainly had to cleanse the hook. And then that means that when LeBlanc jumps in with the chain, he can't cleanse that, and potentially Apex would have gone down. However, because the hook misses, Taiwan's able to come in, disengage as best he can, and deliver Wacko to his death. As serves himself up on a platter for Apex, 4-0. Having that Luden's Echo nearly completed as well, is just going to continue to scale up in DPS even more.
Taiwan actually coming here in the bottom lane. A flash comes out from Nexus to avoid the elastic slingshot. They pull him under the tower. He's actually going to have to use his left bounce to escape from the tower shots, as he's taking way too much damage. That might kill off Machi17's ability to push out this bottom tower, but Epic and Nexus are on the way, and a teleport is going to come through from Wacko to join. Taiwan jumps under the tower. He is going to get taken out. His cell division is going to be popped, and it should be a pretty easy kill going over to Breeze. Wacko is still stuck on the back as Apex throws out his unleashed power. Does not pick up a kill. K flashes in, goes for the minion and pulls himself in, but he doesn't manage to lock down the Flay, and that means that's going to be the end of that fight.
But in the meantime, Threes is going to try and chip away at this mid lane tower, constantly doing the Fiora thing of just being a nuisance across the map while plays are being made. And he actually tried to TP in at the start of that fight, cancelled his TP. If maybe he'd let that one go through, his team could have secured the tower, maybe could have secured the team fight. Instead, it means they do lose their first kill of the game, and they have to be fully dissuaded and reset across the map. And now, they're actually going to lose some ship damage on the mid, potentially, as well.
That seems really over-eager from Machi17. I don't think they really needed to make that move, take that risk, and they've really put YE Spider that much closer to getting back into the game because of it.
Definitely YE looking much better right now. Still only 3k gold down, but only 3k. Something that can be said in very frivolously without actually understanding the difference between the two teams right now. As we see, the team fight composition of YE Spider can still be very strong in the late game, but like we were saying before, Taiwan, once he starts to get rolling, he can just roll right over an enemy team with the CC he can put down in team fights. And Epic wasn't really able to shut him down in the early game. Now he's unfortunately suffering the consequences of that.
Yeah, the win for YE Spider there, getting that kill onto Taiwan under the tower, pushing Machi17 back to base. It's less of a benefit, more in like direct gold and putting them back into the game, and more in the terms of they're able to make sure that they can re-control their own jungle. They can put out a couple more wards, and that allows them to be a more effective defense.
And Machi, though, they just end up sitting in their own jungle, waiting for this warding path to end for YE. And just walk right back in, place their own wards. They're quite happy to concede vision control, but they get it right back within about 30 seconds.
Yes, we're gonna see another pause, our like third this game. Probably gonna be pulling back out to see the production of the LMS and see what's going on this time. If it's a problem,
Hey, it's Taiwanese Ender.
Yeah, he's not blonde though. He can't be.
Yeah, I mean, like, how many Asian guys are naturally blonde? To be fair,
That's a very good point. I think most of them have black hair.
Yep.
But they bleach their hair to look edgy.
Yep, like Machi 17's top laner here by the looks of it.
Threes getting that bleached hair.
Threes, exactly.
You can tell it's bleached too because there's still some black in there.
As we see the happy little plushie once again for Machi 17. Going to be much happier than he was last week after this game if they continue to perform the way they're performing. They just need to make sure they're not being so overeager, as you alluded to. Making sure they're actually going to be able to secure this game, not throw it away, not give up any more over to the side of YE Spider. As we said, the scaling team composition of YE still scary if you let it back into the game.
Yeah, and because it's scaling, if you manage to put it behind, it's basically like they've already put the nail in that coffin. You just need to keep pushing, keep up the pressure, and you're eventually going to win that game. But Machi 17 actually just threw YU Spider a bone by trying for that tower dive instead of just patiently playing the game out.
Exactly, and that's really what you need. Is Machi 17 are going for this mid-game spiking team composition, and they have used that properly. Using D to create picks, using Tazan to create picks. It's just a case of continuing to shut YE out of the game. So we're looking towards the red buff.
And it looks like we might see a bit of a fight as they going on to D. Epic jumps onto the back, and two people get knocked up by the incredible ultimate coming out from Breeze. Breeze manages to flashes to dodge the Q from the Braum, but that just gives Threes the ability to join in on the fight and take a kill back onto K.
But that's a 1-for-1 for YE. That's exactly what they want right now. Just to dissuade any pressure Machi 17 have on the map. It means they do have to back off, they do have to reset. And that's exactly what YE want, just to continue to turtle out this game, survive until the late game where they can have these big team fights and try and shut down the Zac with the Thresh that we talked about and with the Gragas we talked about in the other game.
Yeah, we're going to see that one again here. You're going to see Epic go on a D. Here it is.
Everybody's stacking up on top of each other with a LeBlanc damage, with, of course, Breeze and Thresh coming in here as well. And then the knock-up from Braum does come through, but it's not enough to stop them. K does go down, but trading K for D, definitely worthwhile for YE.
Yeah, especially because that basically completely nullified Machi 17's Baron Dance. But like they wanted to set one up and look for a better pick than that. But because they were the ones who got aggressed on, and because D got picked off, that totally kills off their Baron Dance for now, and they're going to need to completely reset if they want to look for that one again.
Yeah, it did end up taking one member off the map, so they did have to play a bit more cautiously. But the thing it didn't do is give over vision. It ends up being the wave control, and the fact that Apex has to head towards this top lane that gave over the vision control for YE to be able to take this dragon. Take the Baron vision. So see Threes once again just trading a little bit aggressively with Nexus in the bot lane. And Apex now versus Wako. I wanted to talk about Wako's build with the Gunblade, potentially building in towards the, I assume, Banshee's Veil second item. He's going to be able to just try and get to the point where he doesn't die and is able to survive in the side lane, use the extra sustain he gets to at least be able to scale to the point where he can try and assassinate D.
Indeed. Nexus is here towards the bottom lane, but Threes might be getting picked off here. Epic jumps over the wall, locks him up with the Void Spikes. The Grand Challenge comes out. Threes has the Vitals to pop up to regenerate his health, but he's starting to go low, and he is not going to go down.
No.
He flashes away along with Epic. Nexus is looking to finish the kill, but he misses both of his abilities, so Nexus just ends up flashing in and dropping that auto attack to finish the kill. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Machi 17 decided is this a call to go on to the Baron? There's no smite available here for this side of YE, so they have no way to stop this Baron. Looks like Machi 17 will be able to get away clean, especially because the Death Sentence does not land, but a flash, two-man flay. They're just looking to keep them here as Epic is coming around, but they took so much damage in that fight, I don't think they can continue.
And it was a risky 50-50, but managing to zone off YE effectively enough, knowing that it was going to be a 3v4 fight, YE just let this one through. They give over the Baron, just trying to get a mid lane tower in response, but how much more can they actually do than that?
Yeah, Nexus might be in a little bit of trouble here. He's been pulled in by Zach's Q, and he's been stunned up by the concussive blows from the Braum, so he is going to go down. Apex takes his 5th kill of the game. They're really wanting to put some more eggs into that basket.
Yeah, it's just becoming this really big, scary force, being able to obliterate through the backlines. And if Breeze gets caught out by one ultimate, that's just going to be it for him, as we look at him potentially picking up the Void Staff as the next item, negating any magic resistance coming from Breeze, but Taizan...
He's caught out Epic, and he's going to get forced back by the unleashed power from Apex. And that also means that the mid lane inhibitor tower for the side of YE Spider is going to get broken, and their inhibitor is going to get taken. Meanwhile, Threes is pushing up in the bottom lane against a low tier 2 tower. He should at least be able to get that one, and then back off. Lots of gold coming into the pockets of Machi17 after that chain of events.
Definitely a lot of gold for Machi17, so they just have to back off, spend it, see if they can get to these item spikes, as we already see Fiora sitting on top of this Trinity Force and Ravenous Hydra, going to be able to decimate any backline she gets on top of. If she gets that grand challenge on down onto Breeze, Epic, or Wacko, it could be devastating. And this is regardless of the side lane pressure that she's already exerting over Nexus.
Yeah, it's she is an immense split push threat now. Nexus can't really 1v1 her. That demands Epic, but K might actually be caught out in the jungle here. Has been stunned up by the Scatter of the Weak, but he is just going to escape by pulling himself over to the Krugs, and Machi17 seemed to have lost interest in him anyway.
He's just going to be safe for now, but just forcing K back, making sure that threat of vision is going to be off the map so they can continue to clear the wards around this Baron pit. As really, they just look like they want to wait for another Baron before they're going to push again very effectively. The Infernal Dragon, though, coming up in a minute and a half, could be the next point of contention on the map.
Yeah, and of course, you just got to keep paying attention to Threes now. He's operating in that side lane, and you need at least 2 members of YE to take him down. But in the meantime, they need members to defend these towers, so you have to choose one or the other, but no matter what, you're going to be losing your objectives.
It seems like nothing they can do is they just have to send Wacko alone with Threes in the side lane. Threes now.
Oh, but Wacko is taking a lot of damage. The Grand Challenge gets dropped on him. Threes is out of mana as Wacko is coming back in. Looks like he wants to get that kill, but can he do it? He's trying to chase him on. He has the pressure, but Threes is just going to end up recalling in the end. Meanwhile, YE is trying to defend their top inhibitor tower from a 4-man push from Machi17. And there doesn't seem there's much they can do about it. Nexus is waiting in the wings, maybe looking for a flank, but it's going to be difficult for him to get the right one. Epic being forced to jump out. The death sentence not connecting, but Breeze finds D in the back line, but a quick Mercurial Scimitar is going to mean he is not going to get locked down for long. He does get exhausted, but his passive has now been popped off, and he's taking quite a bit. Let's Bounce comes through on the front of the fight. They're going to be dragged back. D picks up a double kill, and they're going to be pushing up in the top lane. Breeze, the last one remaining. Wacko has to come in as well, but he is way on the outside of the base as Machi17 is looking to pressure these Nexus turrets and take the game 1 win. Looks like they'll be able to do it. Breeze not able to defend by himself, and that should be it.
Yeah, Breeze, really fitting that he's the last member alive, but gets obliterated by Apex. And that's going to be the end of the game. Very fitting as this last surviving member of Machi17's opponents just gets blown up by Apex. YE just looking really shaky in that game, not able to get past this Syndra pick, as we saw Wacko just die 2 or 3 times early on, and that was already written in the books as a loss by the time it got to that point.
Yeah, definitely a rough game for YE Spider. Honestly, I don't think it was like a bad play from them. I just think they picked a composition that was very scaling, and they fell way too far behind in the early game. Wacko got absolutely crushed, and that totally nullified any ability for them to gain any pressure. But most importantly, when that essential fight came around and they needed to kill off Apex to put themselves back in the game, they didn't play the fight properly, and they lost that fight, and that's really when they lost the game. Unfortunately
for them, that is exactly the case. Unable to do anything more. And And that's going to be the game going over to Machi 17, looking to come back, see if they can get a better second week of the season for themselves. And maybe they could get that rolling with a clean 2-0 over YE Spider. We'll have to see after the break as we look forward to getting into game 2.
Yeah, a short game, though. Definitely some things to analyze. I think like the Baron was probably another essential piece of the game, not just that one fight. Epic, I think, going to the bottom lane like he did and taking so long, not just to get the kill, but it really just opened up that Baron opportunity for Machi 17.
Yeah,
and
the two members appearing bot lane, that was it. They just pulled the trigger instantly, and that was the Baron taken. Nothing that the Callista could do about it. And she walks in, but just really can't get close enough to even try and contest it. And it ended up being a 50-50, but when no one's really able to actually get any DPS down onto the Baron, it no longer becomes a 50-50.
Yeah, and I think that maybe they should have probably just decided to fight with the 3v4. They had them all trapped in the Baron pit, but they decided to just wait for Epic to come by. But by that point, they had the Baron had already dropped over to Machi 17, and they tried to keep them there. They tried to transition that pressure into a middle lane tower, but they were just too far behind at that point.
It's really just nothing coming of it for YE, and it's going to mean that Machi really just looked clean in that game. They didn't really show any points of weakness apart from that one play where they overextended a bit in bot side, just not really looking for the slow methodical pace. And that just slowed down the pace of the game a little bit for the small period of time. Other than that, it was really just their game to lose.
Yeah, so definitely want to see maybe YE Spider performing a little bit better in the lanes next game, but at least Wako not just getting so thoroughly crushed. And he has to be very demotivated after that one as well. It's just like, it was a really rough game for him, but he really has to avoid getting discouraged, or he's going to drag down his team again.
Yep, definitely could be the case. As he really needs to be on a matchup he's more comfortable with. That wasn't acceptable, that LeBlanc into Syndra.
Yeah,
just not acceptable at all.
Yep, definitely wasn't. We'll see how YE Spider decides to adapt in the next game, as we'll be getting into game 2 in about, I think they have like a 6-minute break here, and we should have about 5 or 6 minutes of the analyst talking, so make sure to come back in like 14-15 minutes, and we'll be back into Champions Life for game 2.
Look into my eyes and show me your adventures I haven't seen.
Hello everybody, I'm Nico Novel, and I'm here tonight with Stortzen McLeod to bring you the 2017 League of Legends Master Series. We're, of course, in the middle of a series of YE Spider versus Machi 17. We just finished up Game 1. We're going to be going into Game 2 in just a few minutes.
Yeah, of course, Machi looking to continue after that, picking up that Game 1 win for themselves. They did manage to utilize that Syndra mid lane pick, snowballing it ahead. He did manage to get the first blood for himself, did Apex, onto Wacko, and then the game just rolled on from there as nobody was really able to shut him down, rolling through the entire team of YE Spider, and just no one could stop him.
Yeah, I think that if Wacko does a lot better in lane, they definitely have a much better chance. I don't think that first game is very representative of how these two teams are as on a skill level, at least according to me from the last 2 weeks. I think that it just was a really, really rough early game, and YE Spider suffered because of it. If they can avoid that happening again, I think we'll have a much, much more competitive game.
It did seem like a very much win game with a volatile pick like a Syndra.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to get banned out this game. I'd be very surprised if YE doesn't decide to take it out in the first pick phase, or take it for themselves.
Now, speaking of pick and ban, we're seeing already some bans coming through. The Ivern and the Cassiopeia once again banning away that Ivern, trying to make sure that we don't see Taizan appearing on one of these utility junglers and creating a protect the AD carry comp around something like a Caitlyn.
Sorry. Not feeling very well. But, okay, so Syndra is going to get banned away by YE Spider as expected, and Galio is going to be taken away by Machi 17. Most of the very powerful picks are taken off of the table now, so plenty of things to look at. I expect YE Spider to first pick that Elise, and then Machi 17 will probably take away the Thresh. I think it would be very weird if they didn't take away the Thresh on this pick phase. It seems to be the highest priority support in the meta right now.
Oh, the Novum predicts as he asks for the Thresh, and he shall receive. It looks like they're going to lock this one in. As you say, very high priority support currently. As we alluded to in the previous game, the Doran shield changes just do make playmaking support so much of a higher priority. And Thresh does have great matchups into these melee playmaking supports, so that is going to be indeed what they look to lock in. However, they could look to pick up something. They could look to pick up their own jungler here in response, and yeah, this would be what I expect, as trading Elise and Lee Sin is generally what you expect. These early pressure junglers that we just see so often, as Lee Sin does have a 40% play rate worldwide.
Yep, and I think he combos pretty well with the Thresh as well. You can, just jump in, knock people back into the team. YE Spider, in the meantime, is looking for a bit more of a poke range-centric composition. They've already picked up that Elise, who has a very long-range stun, and it looks like they're going to pick up the Ashe as well.
I think it has to be Zyra here. Picking something like Ashe Zyra into the Thresh is going to be able to shut him down fairly effectively in the laning phase, but he can still try and get one of those picks where he steps forward and gets a big flay off. But Ashe Zyra is just such a potent bottom lane that I feel like it has to be taken. It just blows so much potential of engages from the opposing bot lane, forcing them to hold onto their flashes very defensively. And if you combo it up with something like an Elise, which is looking to make picks anyway, it just becomes so much easier to play through bot lane.
Yep. Okay, so as you expected, the Zyra is going to get picked up. Looks like Machi 17 looking to finish off their pick phase with that Fire again. Three's played it to great effect in the last game. He managed to get decently far ahead in the lane phase, and he transitioned to becoming a major split push threat, and that can work very well in their favor, dragging YE Spider across the map and preventing them from looking for those team fights that they so obviously want.
Being able to play around the bot lane so effectively, you can see why the Shen is being banned away from the side of Machi 17. They could potentially look to ban away Fiora counter, the likes of which could be including Renekton, Kennen, just trying to get away another top laner that Fiora wouldn't want to play against here. But this is why you generally would pick Fiora third, so you can ban people that you don't feel comfortable laning against. And if Nexus doesn't play something like the Renekton, that Kennen pick could have been a certain lock-in, so banning that away, making sure she is the only split pusher that will be playing that lane.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Varus is going to get taken away by the side of YE Spider. A lot of AD carry pool thinning coming out from them, but in the end, they've still left Caitlyn up, so I don't think that's that bad of a trade for Machi.
But the thing is, Ashe does play very well into Caitlyn, being able to harass her out with the volley range, with the auto attack range, and of course the fact that Caitlyn can't kite her with her range advantage. Ashe just becomes so much of a higher priority in the bot lane into Caitlyn. So really just prioritizing the late game scaling off of the over the early game laning phase with this Thresh and the Caitlyn. And that's definitely how they're going to have to play, as they could end up conceding the bot lane tower fairly early on if they end up struggling. So really, this is going to be a Caitlyn picking up Doran's shield, and that tells you everything about how this lane's going to go.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Waco's going to pick up Talia, stealing it away from Apex, making sure that he doesn't screw over his AD carry somewhere. Luckily, D actually has an escape this time, so he was thinking of that, and he's like, I've got to pick an escape. I can't allow myself to get walled off by my teammates. But we might see the combo coming out from Waco and Breeze. Waco might be looking to just lock up Breeze in the backline.
But I'm looking at Kay quickly here. Kay locking in this Jarvan the Fourth into the Fiora. This is a matchup that's going to be rough for Nexus, as he's going to be trying to face off against this Fiora. In the mid to late game, Fiora should definitely win this 1v1. So it's just a case of, will Jarvan be able to push the wave early and try and collapse down onto the mid lane of Apex? But Apex is in a fairly good matchup himself, being able to have the kill pressure onto the Talia, being able to have that level 6 spike where you can land a big charm, go for the all-in at that point, will be very big. And very much respect across both mid laners, looking at the cleanse on both sides. One to get rid of the cocoon, one to get rid of the charm. It just speaks to the fact that both of them want to survive. Both of them want to be able to just not go down in like the 0-3 deficit that we saw in the previous game. Waco get put in. And Apex, it doesn't look like he'll be able to snowball as far ahead, especially with Elise looking to pressure around the mid lane.
Yep, well, we're going to wrap up Champion Select with that one. Be looking to get onto the Rift pretty soon. I wonder who is going to win in this top lane matchup in the side of split pushing. I think the lane, I think that lane is
should go to Fiora.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Fiora would just win directly that matchup. But in terms of how much split pressure is going to be coming out, I wonder who is going to be able to do that. I think Jarvan is definitely a lot easier to stand up to Fiora in that lane with. And in terms of split pressure, and that might kind of morph Machi 17's strategy a little bit.
But like we were referring to in the previous game as well, Fiora can be camped hard early and having the Elise available. With that big cocoon or level 3 spike where you're going to be comboing all your spells, trying to take somebody down, we see so many First Bloods given over at that point. If the First Blood goes over to Jarvan, that could be the lane pretty much over for Fiora, as it takes so long for her to be able to outscale him. As we always wait for that breakpoint with Fiora where she's going to be able to outscale the opposing laner. Will she be able to hit it before Nexus is able to have these big team fights where he wins the team the game?
Well, we'll definitely see, as the LMS seems to be living up to our reputation as a compause league.
Another pause coming through, yeah. But I'm just going to take this time to walk down the line as we see the 4 Doran shields picked up. Doran shield for both Fiora and Jarvan, not wanting to give over that early pressure in terms of laning. Both just wanting to survive the trades. And in the bot lane as well, I can understand Ashe with the range disadvantage wanting to go for the Doran shield just in case the trading does go awry. But the Caitlyn having to go for Doran shield as well so that she doesn't get constantly harassed by the Ashe, landing that slowing auto attack and hunting her down. So you can really see both of these lanes, top and bot, just looking to scale and wait for potentially the impact of a level 6. As, of course, Breeze and Kay going to have that very strong level 6 all-in.
Yeah, luckily a mercifully short pause is going to be coming out for us this time, as we'll be very quickly getting back under the Rift. Epic managing to spot out Taizan on the right side of his jungle is apparently a signal for YE Spider to get a bit of an invade in. The timer is running towards the end now, so they're going to either want to get back to their own jungle or commit to an invade. But Threes actually came around. He's went deep for vision. Luckily for him, YE Spider didn't see that happening, so they didn't decide to just collapse on him, but that was very dangerous.
Uses a cheeky Q over the wall so Nexus doesn't spot him. But down in the bot lane, I want to touch on quickly. I like that Caitlyn and the Thresh are contesting the level 1 seeds of Kay. It just says that they don't want to give over that much lane pressure. They aren't trying to just give full respect over. They want to be able to at least try to get a lead for themselves. And I respect that a lot, as they really need to be able to try and have enough pressure to at least not die at level 6. If they get ahead early, they'll definitely deny that pick potential.
Meanwhile, Epic is going to decide to switch over to a Raptor start on the other side of the map after that bit of trading in the beginning, but of course Machi17 is actually going to spot this one out thanks to a nice ward coming out from Apex.
Yeah, both junglers really get spotted out in the early Raptor start, but it's just going to be really just even splitting the jungle. I can't imagine we're going to see anything too particularly special. So really, I want to talk about the teams as a whole. We can see Machi17, as we said earlier, really looking to get their first win of the season coming into this. They've managed to pick up a game for themselves already, getting 2-0 after going 0-3 down. It would put them ahead of Flash Wolves, looking particularly rough at the minute, which could be very big for them, but Epic may be trying to spot out Tazan. I'm
pretty sure he does see him by this point. Tazan on the set his blue buff low. It's going to cancel out, go into
Nice.
It's going to run out of patience, head back into the jungle. Epic, of course, running with a bit higher of a health bar, but he has to be worried about Machi17's bottom lane rotating up as they've arrived, but so has YE Spiders. It looks like they should be able to take this blue buff for themselves fairly easily. Apex not able to join in on this one.
Something that could be not noticed here, that's actually a very big point, as we saw Epic go for the cheese. He went for the EXP quintessence in his runes, so that he could hit level 3 earlier off of just those 2 camps, just off of the Raptors and the red buff, so that he can invade early, so that he can get into Tazan, who was only level 2 at the time. So I do definitely like what Epic is doing, and now he's going to collapse on his own blue buff, with Tazan low as well. This is really risky.
Yeah, this is risky of him to go in there. He apparently really wants the blue buff, but now he's set incredibly low. Epic actually flashes after him, but does not manage to land the cocoon. So overall, that would actually go over to Tazan in terms of benefits. He doesn't get the blue buff, but he does get Epic's flash.
I mean, I trade a 3 buff for a flash this early on in the game, if I'm honest, because the flash cocoon really the only way to set up isn't really the only way to set up a gank for Epic. However, Tazan just going down so hard early, it means his gank potential is next to none.
So wait, are you agreeing with me or disagreeing with me?
I'm disagreeing with you. I think that trading Epic's flash to
I need to know what side you're on.
Yeah. Trading Epic's flash to actually dissuade Tazan from ever being able to gank. Of course, denying the blue buff, 3 buffing your opposing jungler, just means he's going to have no impact to the early to mid game. And in the meantime, Epic, having this massive EXP advantage, if you walk into a lane without flash, or if you walk into the lane as a level 5, I'm sure which one I know I'd rather be.
How dare you disagree with your Gold 2 play-by-play caster? It's not like I'm a scrub.
Well, in the end, it all comes down to how they perform. He could be punished for the fact that his flash is down, in which case it would go over to Tazan, but however, all 3 of his lanes pushing in right now is going to be very beneficial, and it's just going to give Epic so much time to be able to continue to CS over Tazan that really he's already at the CS and the EXP advantage. The level 5 to level 3 of Tazan. And Epic, the cheese works out for him. These EXP quintessence, I'm rather happy to see, as I don't really seen this in the UK scene before.
Indeed not. Meanwhile, Tazan looking to try and get up to that level 5, as you were saying. Epic has run out of farm. Nothing else for him to take on that side of the map, but there's still some things for Tazan to take in the meantime. But he definitely isn't going to be able to get any gank potential on him until he hits level 6, because he's so far behind the lanes at this point.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for him that he's been put this far behind, but to take the focus away from him at the minute, I'm going to look up to threes in the top lane. He has been pushed in consistently, and is still at least holding up to farm as we see Jarvan get ever closer to that Tiamat, where he's going to be using, of course, the Tiamat active and the Q together to just clear away instantly. Fiora's just trying to survive until she can get that level 6 all in, or around the point where she feels comfortable to be able to try and get a solo kill onto the Jarvan. It is risky, however, as she knows that Epic could be there at any minute. Potentially could be looking to go for the mobility boots.
Ooh.
It's really just the counter ganking potential.
Epic has found Taizan here. Taizan's still level 4. He's definitely going to lose this 1v1, especially because he's been walled off as Wako joins Taizan, forced to flash, but Wako is going to be able to finish off the kill. First blood over to him. Looks like he's not going to have such a rough lane this time around.
Definitely getting himself the first blood and getting that assist onto Epic, getting YE Spiders ahead. Really looking to just get the opposite of what happened last game, give themselves an early advantage. But I love what Epic did, just constantly having pressure into the enemy side of the jungle, constantly having vision, spotting out Taizan, trying to clear a ward and punishing him for it. But Wako, this really denies the level 6 all-in from Apex now, as we're going to see Wako have an advantage for himself that can't really be surmounted by just a level 6 power spike from Apex on this Ahri. As we normally see her be able to land a charm and trying to get a big kill spell rotation off of that. Oh boy.
Epic again? Looking for some more.
The ward goes down.
He has a 2-level advantage, and he just took away the Krug, so Taizan doesn't have anything to use. Looks like Epic should be able to pick up this red buff. Unfortunately, it resets because the patience runs out, but I don't see Epic retreating right now, especially because Wako is doing a good job of keeping Apex from rotating over.
This is a clean jungle game from Epic.
Three's in trouble. Cataclysm comes down, and K flashes to finish off the kill. Meanwhile, Epic is being found in the jungle. Apex finally able to rotate over to help his own jungler. Epic is starting to go low, but Taizan is as well. Luckily, he is able to survive, but Nexus trades back the kill with the flag combo. Taizan tries to go in to finish off Nexus, but K is there to save him. Nice heal comes out from Breeze to take Nexus into a nice spot, and overall a 3-for-1 in favor of YE Spider.
Giving up Epic's life for the 3 in response, definitely worthwhile. As Taizan goes in so aggressively to try and finish off the kill, but doesn't have the damage to do it. Nexus getting that heal from Breeze does mean that it's going to be another kill going over to YE Spider. That's looking really rough. Definitely not what we saw from last game, Smachi 17. This is definitely more like what we saw from them last week, as they get in an early deficit and don't know what to do about it. An Epic back on form on this Elise.
Yeah, though I do have to say, I think I would have preferred that Repel to be waited a little bit longer.
Maybe a little bit longer could have been worthwhile.
Yeah, just
Wako picking up that first kill with Nexus. And Taizan, you can see he jumps in here thinking that he has the damage to finish off. Breeze flashes in to be able to give the heal over to Nexus just to keep him alive that little bit longer and denies the kill for Taizan. Very well done as YE pick up the extra 2 kills off the back of that really shouldn't have been theirs. Rather cheeky play as they sit on a roughly 2k gold lead.
Yeah, and a lot of that gold lead is really just in the jungle where Taizan has been unable to mount any kind of a defense. He's 20 jungle CS behind. He's 2 levels down, and without that level 6, he's not going to be able to mount any kind of a gank.
Yeah, without the level 6, just still, even now.
Finally.
Look how long into the game we are. Nexus is level 8, Wako is level 9, and Taizan has only just hit this level 6 mark. At 10 minutes into the game. This is so disappointing as a performance from Smachi 17's jungler. And really a game to forget.
Plus, YE Spider has already rotated their bottom lane up into the top lane, and that means they're much harder to gank than Taizan would usually find. There's a lot easier to control the vision on the top side for the bottom lane on this side of the map. It makes it really easy for them to stay alive. And oh, wow, K actually getting caught out on the trap. Dreamer pulls him into the box. He is going to go down. And a little bit of rough for him, but I don't think it costs YE too much.
It's maybe a little bit too far forward. Does get caught up with the thresh, but Nexus.
He's pretty low. He luckily manages to sidestep the Sonic Wave, so he is not going to die this time. 3's actually pretty low. Nexus might be looking for him at any moment now. The Cataclysm is still available.
Wako.
Looks
yeah,
like
he was stepping towards the Dragon Pit, being able to look for an ult downwards, but we see the moment that K got caught out. But looking at the picture-in-picture, look at what's going on with Wako at Apex.
Oh, Wako is really low. It looks like he's going to be taken out. A nice solo kill comes out by Apex. Nexus is on the way up, but he gets charmed out of his flag and drag combo, but he still manages to pull off the Cataclysm, and it locks them up for the Stranglethorns. Nexus is out of mana, but K still has plenty, and he finishes off the kill onto Taizan, a 2-for-2. but that is definitely going to be in favor of a YE Spider.
Nexus does run out of mana in that fight, but he gets it back by stealing the blue buff from Apex, being able to get the kill for himself. Wacko did go down for that, maybe going in a little bit too hard, a little bit too aggressive, as we're going to see a replay of what happened with another picture-in-picture. We can only hope that the picture-in-picture doesn't have a kill this time. So Wacko gets caught by the charm over the wall, and Apex just dancing around these threaded volleys, trying to avoid as much damage as he can. But in the end, has to blow his flash to get away from K, means that Nexus is able to just come in with the Cataclysm with the ult already blown, happily able to pick up a kill for himself. Yeah, it's just really maybe a little bit overextended from Apex. Has to blow so much just to get away, and that's going to mean Epic now.
He does go up into the rappel. Nexus has arrived, and Threes is able to get back onto Epic and take him out. He's still in that 1v1 as Wacko has come around, throws himself in with the blasting cone. Threes is pretty low. Apex has joined to fight, throws out the charm, doesn't connect. Nexus jumps in with the flag and drag combo, takes out Fiora in the back. Apex is able to jump over the wall, but Nexus flashes in, secures the double kill, looks for the triple. It is. He's got it.
Baby.
And that is, Nexus is huge.
5-0 and 3, just constantly cleaning up after these small skirmishes. Able to get another 3 kills onto that record. He's going to have that Black Cleaver and Titanic Hydra before too long. And this is where we talked about the issue arising for Matchy 17. Threes does have the advantage in that lane, but when Nexus gets this far ahead, when Nexus gets rolling with these Cataclysms, what can Threes do? He's just going to lose this lane to the potential of the picks coming out from Nexus. He's not going to have as much teamfight pressure as Nexus. And the wave play is just going to be so free that Nexus is just going to be completely fine. And the scaling is going to take so much longer, to the point where YE might just end the game before Fiora can really become relevant with the split push.
Yeah, and also because Nexus is now so incredibly huge, it totally kills off Three's ability to get any split pressure because he's already not going to have any team fight pressure. That means he's basically useless to the side of Machi 17 unless he manages to get that split push in at the exact right moment. He's really got to focus on farm for a very long amount of time now.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually going to go straight into the... he should potentially go straight into the Black Cleaver, rather than going into that Trinity Force that we have seen most Fioras go into. Just to try and give him that little bit more survivability, I feel. Give him that little more movement speed to try and be able to at least escape after a skirmish. But I would definitely be afraid if I was Threes.
Okay, sitting on top of a blasting cone here. Looks like he doesn't want to look for the engage quite yet. He does have Breeze waiting in the wings. Meanwhile, Epic is going to pick up this Ocean Drake. I think this is actually the first Drake of this game, or it is.
Yeah, it has taken a little while. Really, just the lane swap slowed down this one significantly. But having the pressure over Fiora with Nexus being this strong does freely give them this dragon to take. And although the Ocean Dragon does lose some of its impact around this point where the out-of-combat regen doesn't really affect you all that much, it's still going to be relevant as they could potentially look for skirmishes and disengages later on into the game. And really, it's just an essentially smaller version of Warmogs for the team.
So Wacko going to be coming over here, take his first blue buff of the game. YE Spider, of course, very ahead. Wacko just looking to finish off that tower so that he can get first brick. No other towers taken on the map just yet, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Nexus is really, really big now, and Threes is only barely able to stand up against him in the lane. Nexus has plenty of opportunity to roam now, and we're also seeing a lot of vision control coming out from YE Spider.
Yeah, YE just trying to pressure that vision a little bit deeper, piece by piece, as they managed to get loads of vision on the bot side before that dragon. Now they can look to do the same around this top side, especially once that scuttle vision goes down, to be able to potentially take the Rift Herald before that Baron spawns, and of course have that Baron pressure already there at the moment the 20 minutes occurs in the game.
Yep. Taizan, of course, very far behind, and he
Zero
really...
0-4, yeah.
Yeah, he really can't get back into this game. He's been forced to farm the jungle for a very long time now, but at this point he really needs kills, he really needs assists, he really needs fights in order to get back into this game, but it's so hard for Machi 17 to even find a fight that would even be remotely in their favor.
Yeah, Epic really has backed off from the pressure he was exuding into Taizan's jungle. And that is allowing Taizan a little bit of a way back in the game in terms of farm. If you look at the items, they're very close right now. But Epic is still really becoming this threat as the game goes on into creating picks. As we know, the damage does scale off hard for both these junglers, but right now that doesn't matter as they're just continuing to become these, we're seeing at least continue to become a CC bot, where she just needs to be able to set up picks for the Ashe, for Wacko, and of course for Nexus to be able to jump in on. Now with that Rift Herald, you get that nice Baron empowered back off, and look for that first tower of the game for his team. As really any of the lanes could be completely free for it.
Yep. And they tried to contest that Rift Herald. They knew it was happening, but at this point they're so far behind they can't even think about it. It seems like kind of strange that D is actually doing pretty well in this game so far. Hasn't died yet. Got a nice little CS lead over his lane opponent, but I don't know what he can do to get Machi17 back into this game, especially as YE Spider is probably looking to finish off that lead and kill his morale too.
The fact that he has had to build this QSS so early on in the game just puts him at such a disadvantage, even though he has got these 2 kills. It just means that Ashe can continue to scale and be more relevant in terms of damage as the game goes on, earlier than the Caitlyn can. And really, we know that Caitlyn's this late game scaling pick, but as we've been alluding to already, YE are just trying to deny the late game from them, make sure they don't even get that far.
Yeah, I really have to say, I appreciate that YE is being a lot more patient with their lead than Machi17 was last game. They're being patient with it. They're setting up wards. They're taking this the push a little bit slow, maybe a little bit too slow, but slow is still good. Actually, we're going to see a trade of towers going on as Breeze is pushing up in the bottom lane, but he actually loses out on that trade. First brick, of course, already secured by YE, but it's still a trade of towers. Machi17 able to pick up an objective for themselves on the back. They're going to have to recall now as Nexus maybe looks to take a tower in return.
This could be the Rift Herald up in top lane, yeah. As we see Nexus already trying to hard push this wave in as quickly as possible. And it's already low. They might just try and use it on the second tower.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to drop it at all, actually. Nexus is probably just going to head back to base. They probably don't want to push to the tier 2 without any reliable vision control, but I'm pretty sure that Eye of the Herald is going to be running out in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's not got too long left. Yeah, it's, the time limit on it is really going to be the risk where even if there's no optimal place to use it, Epic just needs to use it so it is being used to try and consolidate that advantage you do get from it. As you only get 25 gold for killing the Rift Herald, so what's the point of not using it?
Yeah, I think it's weird that the UI doesn't have a cooldown for it.
This is just the spectator client. In-game, there is a visible...
Yeah, I know in-game it's just the spectator client doesn't really seem to know what to do with it.
Yeah, it just ends up replacing your ward, replacing your trinket, rather.
It probably detects the cooldown of the ward as like the cooldown is supposed to display.
Yeah, it's odd if you ping on top of your ward or on top of the Rift Herald, the Rift Eye of the Herald itself. It will actually just tell you how many charges you have of it rather than its actual cooldown. So that could be considered an issue.
Epic.
However, forcing the issue in mid lane.
Here comes the Enchanted Chrysler. D's cleanse is down, and the nice wall actually comes out from Wacko to block any rotation back from Machi17. They've deployed the Rift Herald. Taizan has arrived, and this turret is going to go down.
And now, of course, that match you have to deal with this Rift Herald in mid lane. It gives them perfect time to go and take this Ocean Dragon as it spawns, with no one able to respond to it.
Apex is pushing up here in the top lane. He doesn't have a lot of time, however, his Nexus is on the way to stop him. Maybe look for a bit of a pick, but kind of difficult for him to make that kill.
Yeah, it's probably not going to get a pick onto Apex here, just forcing Apex to back off, as really not able to push for harder than that tier 2 at the minute. Even being on the tier 2 seems risky for Apex at this point. Just playing a little bit cheeky, knowing he has the ultimate, knowing he has the cleanse available. He thinks he's safe right now. But the Ocean Dragon, as I was alluding to, does end up going across. And Wacko knows he's being potentially being dived. Does end up putting the ward over the wall.
A nice rotation up from K's to cut off any potential Machi 17 has for that dive. And of course, Wako has the Banshee's Veil, so it was going to be pretty hard to get on him no matter what. So he's going to be safe in the end with that one. Although I'm kind of intrigued that Nexus has so much power now, but he doesn't really seem to be taking much advantage of it so far.
Yeah, he has been sitting on that 5-0-3 scoreline now for about 10 minutes, not having done anything with it. Not really looking to just push a wave and try and roam, potentially set up a pick mid lane. If you look at what they've got, they need to be pushing control vision into the enemy jungle. And having Nexus just push a wave, roam towards mid lane, and try and land a good ultimate onto somebody without a flash, or at least blow the flash of somebody like D.
Yeah, and I definitely like to see him look for maybe a couple of flanks as well. But yeah, I do think that like tactical slow style is definitely the better option. But I think that maybe they're playing it a bit too slow. Machi 17 played it too fast, though I think if you're going to do too much of anything, slow is definitely the better one to do too much of.
Yeah, it's you can never really have too much patience when it comes to a game like this, where you're just really wanting to be able to make picks. Eventually, if you pull the trigger, you know you'll be able to make a pick as long as you just don't let the enemy team take full control of the map.
Yeah, also I do like that they've only really been taking fights that they know they're going to win.
Yeah, that is definitely a strong point that they have had. That really speaks to, as you say, the patience that they've had. Not trying to rush, not trying to just go, we're stronger here, we can force on them. We're stronger here, we'll just make a pick with the Ash Arrow. Waiting until they know they can take a pick. Waiting until they know the enemy's out of position and punishing it, rather than trying to force the issue.
Plus, they've put a lot of their focus onto the objectives over the kills. So, yeah, like even when we saw that Enchanted Crystal land onto Caitlyn before, they focused on the tower. They used the wall, and Breeze actually caught out a bit by Apex here. It looks like he's going to survive, but a teleport's going to be coming out from Nexus here. He has his Cataclysm available, but Apex has been dragged out by the Dark Passage, so it looks like it's just going to be a wasted teleport in the end. They're going in onto K. K stepping a bit too far forward, forced to burn his flash to escape. Looks like Nexus will try to finish his recall, but there is a ward in that bush, so he's not going to have too much of an opportunity to do that.
Apex proving that although he can't 100-0 somebody, his damage is still incredibly relevant at this point of the game. Almost able to burst Breeze, almost able to burst K as well. It's just maybe one more item on him and he can try and just get that one-shot combo rolling through. Machi 17 do have ways back into the game. They do have tools to try and make picks for themselves. It's just going to be rough as we see Nexus has still got full control of the side lane.
Yep, he's having no trouble there, though not having that teleport does open up a few opportunities for Machi 17. Why he is probably going to just decide to counter by maybe setting up some more Baron vision, maybe starting up a bit of a dance as they're having trouble getting onto those second-tier objectives. Of course, they could also just maybe decide to look for some picks as well. They have plenty of options open for them right now. We'll see what they decide on.
I want to look at what Machi 17 have done here, because we've seen Ari before. We've seen her generally build the first item of the Hextech Gunblade from so many different players around the world. But choosing to go for that Banshee's Veil, the good adaptation, trying to stop himself getting picked off by an Ash Arrow, by an Elise Cocoon. And it just speaks to the fact that he needs that much more safety in the game with his team, struggling to find an advantage.
Yep. Machi 17 just trying to hold their vision line up. If it drops, they're going to immediately lose all control. An Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes through from Breeze. Luckily for Machi 17, it isn't going to land on anybody, but YU Spider is going to take the opportunity that pushing them back has caused and take a bit more vision for themselves. Meanwhile, Threes is still on the split push. Nexus tried to roam up towards the top in the middle lane, but it is going to just cost him in the tower in the end.
It's really, you have to be pushing the wave much deeper if you're looking to roam there, especially with that first tier tower available. Just free giving that tower to Threes. It's just letting Threes slowly back into the game, as maybe he can look for an all-in towards the bot lane pretty soon.
Yeah, he's supposed to be pretty far behind right now, but it really doesn't look like it. He isn't even at a level deficit. He's been able to farm pretty well. He's actually got a bit of an advantage in that case, and that's really key. I think his pressure is really what's keeping Machi 17 in this game. It's really limiting Nexus's ability to influence the map.
It's just the current strength in terms of items versus the scaling. As we know, Fiora scales later much better but it's just a case of will Nexus's gold advantage let him survive long enough? And really, that remains to be seen.
Weaver's Wall. It is going to force Apex to burn all 3 of his Spirit Rushes, but K is not going to be able to get onto him, especially with no flash.
Or just the ult for ult burn there. Not looking to try and burn any flashes, secure the kill. Just scaring away Apex for now is enough for them.
Ooh,
Taiwan
caught out. Cocoon,
Ooh.
Strangle Thorns, kill. Jungler taken down from the side of Machi17. Wai looking for more, looking for that pick onto Dreamer. Dreamer tries to throw out the hook. He manages to land Epic, but not much damage turned onto him. Meanwhile, the Cocoon comes out. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out. Dreamer is going to go down. Apex is the only one remaining on this side for Machi. Oh, okay, doesn't get over the wall. Luckily, he's going to be able to sidestep the charm, so he is going to be fine. Apex not able to take him out. Nexus, meanwhile, has roamed up. Should be a pretty easy Baron for YE Spider, but in the meantime, Threes is still pushing in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Threes just trying to take that second tier tower, trading it for the Baron, though. That's all he can really try and do. With the Baron empowered recalls, now they can look to stop him, but already getting so much damage down. I want to focus on what happened before that Baron, though, as we saw them just control vision over and over again. After they scared off Apex, they managed to use the wave push to be able to get into the enemy jungle, put the wards down, and that's how they caught out Taiwan. And that's how they caught out Dreamer, and were able to get a free Baron for themselves off the back of a couple picks. This pick composition working wonders for YE Spider.
Yeah, Taiwan having an incredibly rough game, even when he isn't really doing anything, tries to stay safe. He ends up getting caught out, and that really drops the Baron over to YE Spider, gives them a lot more ability to push in. It looks like they're going to start grouping around the bot lane to do just that.
Yes, looking to take this Ocean Dragon now for themselves, so it's definitely going to be giving them another way back into the game, in terms of, another way to push their advantage in the game. As we said, it's already a mini Warmog's passive. Now it's actually almost equaling the level of a Warmog's triple Ocean Dragon.
Yep, definitely very strong, and Wako is going to be waiting here on the side. He could deploy his Weaver's Wall and trap these 3 behind the turret anytime he decides, so they're just going to have to give up the tower to avoid that potential. But there's definitely dive potential here from YE Spider. Nexus is pretty tanky. He's definitely built towards it, and he's already level 17. So that dive potential can come out at any time. But, oh, Wako, he's just going to use the wall to make sure there's absolutely no potential for Machi17 to cross over and stop them from taking the tower. So they're going to get this bottom inhibitor uncontested.
Yeah, free bottom inhibitor, really nice Weaver's Wall, and this is exactly how it should be used, making sure that there's no way to even contest the inhibitor going down there. As Threes just trying to split push in the mid lane now. There's not really much more he can do. He can take this tower and give that standing gold on the map to his team. But it really just seems like YE Spider isn't caring at the minute. As long as they're able to get the inhibitor, they don't really care that they're trading it for a mid-tier 1.
Yeah, and this is, I think this is the problem with Fiora when the rest of your team is behind. This is basically the only thing she can do. She is a very strong pusher, but that's all she can do. She can't come back. She can't help you defend her base because in order to try and help with that wave clear, in order to try and help with that pressure, she has to put herself in danger.
Definitely can be considered to be true. I want to look at Nexus quickly. It looks
wow, it seems like you have a lot of confidence in my opinion.
I just wanted to refer to Nexus here. Look, he's building the Locket of the Iron Solari and the Gargoyle Stoneplate. It's not 7.12 yet, so those items haven't really gained their true synergy. But this this top lane tower's looking dubious for Machi17. They have to be careful. It looks like they're just going to give it up.
That was a headshot crit on the Nexus, and it barely did anything. And he even had the bonus damage from the trap. It still barely did anything, and he's the strongest member of Machi17. No one,
as we said, with that stone plate completed, with the Aegis of the Legion, of course, to give him even more bonus armor, and the Ninja Tabi, yeah, he's not going to take any damage from the Cave.
Oh, Weaver's Wall comes out. It's going to split Taiwan and Apex off from the fight, but D has already managed to take out Breeze. And that means they're going to be able to defend their tower this time, and Threes is still pushing in the middle lane. He's going to take another tier 2 tower.
And this is the risk of creating a siege composition if you can't have anybody deal with the split push threat. When you get when the siege ends up going wrong, you just end up losing a tower for it, and it goes doubly worse. As we see D just cancelling out a couple of recalls there. But the
D is
net
still pretty
lost
strong.
D on top of the tower being lost, instead of getting that inhibitor tower like they wanted. Just absolutely devastating for YE Spider, as slowly we're seeing Machi get a lot of standing gold on the map. They may be 6k gold down, but it won't matter if Fiora just takes an inhibitor.
Yeah, and all of those towers, in addition to all of the gold that has been pouring into D's pockets from the just the farm that's been running into the base, he's actually really strong. He had those 2 kills already, and now he's on top of 3. He's really close to just finishing those items. He's actually a bit stronger than Breeze is on the other side. And
Definitely.
as we get towards the end of the game, like this is late game AD carry. Those items are very, very effective, and especially with the Lord Dominic's Regard, he's actually going to be able to cut through Nexus, who's incredibly tanky, pretty fast.
Definitely looking to be the case, as he's already got those 2 crit items completed, with another Zeal going to be building another one for himself. This late game Caitlyn is very close to coming fully online, as opposed to the Ashe, which we know doesn't have the best late game scaling without something like the Lulu to support her. So she's just going to be looking to try and create picks with utility.
Yeah, a little bit of a risky build. If he does get caught out, he is going to have a very rough time. He does have that QSS and eventually the Mercurial Scimitar. But he's still in a lot of danger. His positioning is incredibly important to Machi 17's ability to win this game at this point. If he gets caught out, if he gets focused in the fights, he's gonna and he dies, it's gonna be the end.
Look at all these super minions pouring into the base. Machi 17 have to respond to this, and with that happening now, with the Caitlyn and the Lee Sin having to back off into it, it just gives YE full control over this area into Machi's jungle, where they can set up for this Baron spawning in just about 1 minute's time. And they're going to force a face check-in from Machi 17 and try and take a team fight off the back of it, surely. As that would be the easy way to win the game without having to think about pushing with a siege composition.
Yeah, and even then, Taizan actually going into Epic. A nice kick! Apex gets the farm! It's going to be a kill over to Machi 17. A very, very nice catch. That's going to make them able to secure vision with the Baron coming up soon. That is absolutely essential.
That's definitely crucial, as Epic is going to be spawning at the same time as the Baron. Epic, what are you doing there? You don't need to sit there by yourself with 3 members walking into you. You just get picked off completely. And that now gives over all the pressure they had into the enemy jungle back to Machi 17. Now they're able to set up their own wards, start to push into the river. And it's just looking more dangerous. As really, the inhibitor respawning means they have free pressure into this river. Epic, still down on the map. Might mean Machi can try and rush this Baron, or at least look to create a pick by forcing YE to face check aggressively.
They have a lot of traps laid down, but Nexus has just arrived. They're actually going to go for the Baron. This is an incredibly ballsy play. The Weaver's Wall is going to come through, and this is going to cut off any escape potential. They have to fight now. And here comes the Cataclysm. They're locked down in the back of the pit. Breeze manages to pick up Taizan. Double kill. You're looking for more. The Baron goes down. Wako is going to be the one to pick it up because there's no smite available from Machi 17, and even a shutdown going over to K before he goes down. But now YE Spider has a huge man advantage. Apex and 3s are the only one left. Catch that. With 3s is the only one left. He cannot contest this. He's trying to 1v3, but he is going to go down in the end. And with the Baron on the side of YE Spider, they're going to be able to take out all 3 inhibitors on this push and ace over to them. And it's going to be an ace for the inhibitors as well. Maybe even the game here, there's a long time before anybody respawns. Taizan is going to be the one. Dreamer is going to come up. Can he stop this? I don't think he can. Taizan's going to be the next one, but I think it's over. There's nothing he can do. The Nexus is going to go down, and we are going to be going to Game 3.
And that was such a risky call to make from Machi. They sit in the pit. I was saying they had to disengage and try and make a pick, try and get that 5v4 team fight going. They end up just staying, trying to DPS the Baron. 3 of them get caught in a Cataclysm. And Taizan goes down. They still stay for the 50-50. And unfortunately, the poorly executed fight costs Machi the game. And that's going to even up the series at 1-1.
Yeah, and this really shows off that point we were trying to illustrate after the first game, where as long as YE Spider doesn't lose lane that hard, they're looking really clean. Like their mid-late game macro is very clean. Absolutely excellently played game from them, honestly. Like they looked really good in this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's Machi really looking off the form we saw in game one, but Wai Spider back to what we expected in the pregame. Definitely a lot happier for them, and I can imagine this will be a big confidence boost going into game three. There wasn't really much to look at negatively for them in this game, as they played it so patiently, so carefully. And this is actually what we saw from them in their last series as well, as they ended up playing so patiently around Baron in that series also, after giving over the Baron steal to the Flash Wolves in game one. Since then, have almost had PTSD whenever they're near Baron, playing it so safely. And that just shows that the coach has really drummed that into them, and credit to them.
Yeah, they're really looking to mount a bit of a comeback, looking to prove that they belong here. Going into game three, I think it's going to be very interesting. Like, they dominated the lane phase this game. Epic
Definitely.
was all inside of Taizan's jungle. I'm wondering how it'll go if it's just a middling lane phase.
But this is what happens if you draft 3 losing lanes and you have Lee Sin versus Elise. This is the nature of the matchup. One of them gets ahead, one of them gets behind. And with the 3 pushing lanes, it's guaranteed to be Elise that's getting ahead.
Yeah, especially with Epic playing as well as he is, going into that jungle, being able to find Taizan wherever he is, steal away his jungle camps, slow him down. Like, Taizan had zero influence.
Level 3 cheese, yeah.
Taizan had zero influence on this game. Even when the Baron was up, he would always die before the Baron went down. So he wasn't even able to even attempt to steal.
But the thing is, the level 3 cheese with the EXP quints is exactly that, a cheese tactic. And we'll definitely have to see how that gets adapted to the next game. Maybe he's going to be more aware of it. But that is the tactic you generally use with junglers that have very predictable pathing. And Lee Sin wanting to start on those Raptors every time they spotted him on those Raptors. Raptors red, blue. That's what he's always going to do. And so they utilize that knowledge to be able to punish him for it. I definitely liked what they were able to do off the back of it as well. And clean gameplay of White Spider.
Indeed, able to take it out quite convincingly. Although I want to see what happens when they have a more middling lane phase, a more average lane phase. Like they dominated the early game. This game basically sealed the victory for them. I do want to compliment them for playing as patiently as they did with the lead. But I want to see if they can play even. If they can't play an even game, that's really not much to be said for them, and they're still going to be one of the bottom teams.
Yeah, Machi, unfortunately, they do have to pick up this win to really show any sort of development at all. As we've seen development from them, we've seen that they can perform at least pretty well. But unfortunately, that's not going to show if you're 0-4 on the scoreboard.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they manage to put out any kind of a fight coming into the next game. Don't leave those. It should be an exciting conclusion. Game 3 of this best of 3 series between YU Spider and Machi 17. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Look into my eyes and show me your adventures I haven't seen. Taking all the life, it hits the spot. Walking on fantasy. So take me, baby, take me to a state of mind that's made of, baby.